y'all. Y'all know who this is. Once again, it's the main attraction, Mika Diver, Emery Ogletree II, back again of another home edition of Let's Get It, man. Today, I want to touch on this ranking that I found on ESPN's app today. If you have the ESPN app, you know what I'm probably talking about. They listed the all-time starting fives for the Eastern and Western Conference teams in the NBA. And I went through the team rankings, man, and I had some disagreements with some of them. The East, I don't think is as bad as my difference with the West. I'll do the West tomorrow, man. But yeah, I just wanted to go through the list, share with y'all for y'all who may not know, who may not have the app, just give you my 2 cents and everything on who I feel should have made the list and who is on the list. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. Starting with the Atlanta Hawks. They got Lou Hudson, Cliff Hagan, Dominique Wilkins, Bob Pettit, Al Horford. Okay. Now, for some of y'all, may not realize, I'll give ESPN this much. They included Atlanta's history even when they were in St. Louis. I mean, I think a lot of times, just to kind of get off subject a little bit, we don't show enough love to those who came before. We're always so caught up in the present day, to the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, and 70s. Basketball's been around for a minute, so we got to show love to those even from back in the day, even if it wasn't the way it is now back then, because, the game, every game, regardless of sport, started from somewhere. So I'm glad that, ESPN showed love to the players, and not just looking at just the modern day. So, like I said, Lou Hudson, Cliff Hagan, Dominique Wilkins, Bob Pettit, and Al Horford. Not a bad list. My first discrepancy on this for the Atlanta Hawks, it's got to be Al Horford. Now, don't get me wrong. Al Horford, in his time with the Atlanta Hawks, he made 4 All-Star teams during that stretch, and that's cool. But, I mean, for me, Dikembe Mutombo's got to be on there. You got to throw Dikembe on there, man. He was a 5-time All-Star, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. In fact, that 4th time, because that was actually the 4th time he won the award during his time in Atlanta, he ended up getting traded to Philly in the middle of the season. But 5-time All-Star, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, how's he not the all-time starting center in Atlanta? Like I said, again, no disrespect to Al Horford. He played a lot longer in Atlanta than Dikembe did, but when I'm looking at production, player to player, it's got to be Dikembe there. But that's it for me. That is for me. That was written by Tim Bontemps. That was his ranking there. Next one, the Boston Celtics. And this one was another funny one to me. We got Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, Paul Pierce, Larry Bird, and Bill Russell. Now, again, not a bad list. I say it's not, but once again, my discrepancy, you gotta take Paul Pierce off. No disrespect to the truth. He is the truth, and I'm sure he's a future Hall of Famer. But an all-time starting 5 on the Celtics, no. And when I'm reading why the editor chose him, they're saying that in the end, Pierce's final MVP is what helped earned him the nod. Now, if you're like me, recently they were playing a lot of the old finals, especially in respect to Kobe and everything else, and just throwing up a lot of replays. If you watched that finals replay of that particular series, like I did, if you're like me, Kevin Garnett should have been Finals MVP. I'm sticking to that. I swear to you, Kevin Garnett should have got Finals MVP that year. I truly believe they only gave it to Paul Pierce simply because he was a Celtic lifer. And you can't convince me otherwise. Go back, look at that series, look at the stats that Kevin Garnett put up, and just look what he did in the games, period, especially in the deciding game. How he did not get Finals MVP will always bother me. And the fact that they chose to give it to Paul Pierce and they put him in the all-time starting 5 on this list is a low-key joke to me. I would take Pierce out, and you got to put in Kevin McHale. Before Tim Duncan, you had a lot of people arguing that Kevin McHale was the best power forward to ever play the game. Again, no disrespect to Paul Pierce, but you've never heard anybody throw Paul Pierce in as one of the best small forwards ever, as the best small forward ever. You just never heard it. And so the one finals that he did win, and the final MVP gets him a nod over Kevin McHale, who helped Bird win 3 finals. It was one time recognized, and some people made well, I doubt it, but at one time was debated as the greatest power forward ever. You got to take Pierce out. You throw Larry at his natural position in there, the small forward. I'm putting Kevin at the 4, and obviously my man, Mr. Russell, playing at the 5. So now, sorry, Paul, I can't have you on my list. Moving on. The Brooklyn Nets, or like it was known back in my time, New Jersey Nets. But once again, not a bad list. They had Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, the Doctor, Julius Erving, forward Buck Williams, and center Brook Lopez. They made a valid point, and I guess, again, it's one of those things that we'll never know. No, they selected Carter over Drazen Petrovic, obviously because of the fact that, he sadly died, just as his career was really starting to turn on, back in the day when he was 28. So, them giving it to Vince, I can get with that. I definitely, don't have too much of a problem with them giving it to Vince, because Vince put in, work while he was over there with the Nets and stuff like that. My issue was with Brook Lopez. For those of you who may not know, who may be watching, man, again, Brook Lopez, solid player. But again, we're talking all-time starting 5. I got to put Derek Coleman there, man. You got to put DC there. DC put in work when he was with the Nets. Especially back in his day when he had, Kenny Anderson in them, and they were doing their thing. I mean, the Nets were, they had, again, they were one of those teams that had potential that he could have been something had they been able to keep it together. And of course, DC, had his, history of injuries throughout his career. But DC was Rookie of the Year, a 2-time All-NBA third team, and a 1-time All-Star. I think the only thing that Brook has in common with DC was that he's a 1-time All-Star, and he did make the All-Rookie team. But again, DC was Rookie of the Year. There was a time, I said, back in the day when DC was healthy. DC was being mentioned up there with Barkley and Malone. Again, no disrespect to Brook Lopez, but we never really, taught Brook Lopez as being one of the best, power forwards or centers in the game. So I think, again, either I would take Brook Lopez off and put DC on, or if you wanted to, again, remove Buck Williams, throw DC on, and you can keep Brook Lopez at center. Go with what you feel. But that's for me. Next for the Charlotte Hornets, we got Kemba Walker, Del Curry, Glenn Rice, Larry Johnson, and Alonzo Mourning. I'll be real. Honestly, I don't have a problem with this list at all. This particular ranking I like. I think they got this one right. Kemba, Del Curry, Glenn Rice, Larry Johnson, Mourning. Obviously, the 4 of them back when they were the Charlotte Hornets. Del through Mourning, and Kemba, definitely did his thing when he was with the Hornets before going over to the Boston Celtics. So I got no problems with that one. Next one, Chicago Bulls. Derrick Rose, Michael Jordan, obviously, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Artis Gilmore. Perfect. I got no problem with that one either. Next, Cleveland Cavaliers. We got Mark Price, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Larry Nance, and Brad Daugherty. Okay, again, not a bad list. I think the only debate would be probably Brad Daugherty. Statistically, I can make an argument for Ilgauskas. Now, Ilgauskas didn't make as many all-star teams as Brad Daugherty, but considering, if you want to consider how the game changed, considering the fact, he did play with LeBron for a good, bulk of his career, it was just different. But you got to keep in mind that statistically, Ilgauskas has more points, rebounds, and blocks. In fact, he's the franchise leader in blocks in Cleveland. So that's more than Daugherty. Again, I know Daugherty, has a 5-time All-Star, but, statistically, you could make an argument there, to throw Ilgauskas in there. And, obviously, they mentioned here about how, the Cavs could have been something, but they, kept running into Jordan. Again, a lot of people could say that. A lot of people ran into Jordan. But Ilgauskas, along with LeBron, them at least got to a finals appearance that year. They got swept by the Spurs, but they at least got there. So that's another, notch that, you could, use Ilgauskas to put him over Daugherty, in my opinion. All right, next we got the Detroit Pistons. We got Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Grant Hill, Ben Wallace, and Bob Lanier. Yeah, I got no problem with this list. That's a great starting 5, especially for the Detroit Pistons. I think they got every position right. Yeah, so kudos to him on that one. You know, whoever this person is, Woodyard, he put that list together. So yeah, so props to Woodyard. Next we have the Indiana Pacers. Freddie Lewis, Reggie Miller, Roger Brown, George McGinnis, and Mel Daniels. Now, three of these guys are from the ABA days, Brown, McGinnis, and Daniels. And again, you know, for those of y'all who aren't, you know, familiar with the ABA days, the Indiana Pacers did win, you know, a couple championships. And in fact, they won 3. And they had a couple Hall of Famers again with Brown, McGinnis, and Daniels. You know, like I said again, I'll give props to these guys here from ESPN for showing love to, you know, the players from back in the day, even before the modern times, for making this list. So, as for this all-time starting five of the Indiana Pacers, I said, we'll tip our hat to them. That was a good list. Definitely a good list right there. The Miami Heat. We got Tim Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Alonzo Mourning, and Shaquille O'Neal. I got no problem with this at all either. I think that's a solid starting five. If you think about it, that would be the starting five I would think too. You know, and that's actually a very tough team right there. Tim Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, obviously LeBron, Lonzo, and Shaq. Yeah, got that one right. The Milwaukee Bucks. We got Oscar Robinson, Sidney Moncrief, Ray Allen, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was then known for the Bucks at the time as Lou Alcindor when he won his title with them. Like I said, no issues with that one. I mean, it's a good list. And, you know, I kind of think about the big dog a little bit, but, you know, Sidney Moncrief, you know, definite monster, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. So, I mean, I think you got enough offensive power here on this starting lineup. You got to be able to play some D. So, again, I'll give them props on this one, too. Next, the New York Knicks. Is it Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Carmelo Anthony, Willis Reed, and Patrick Ewing? It's funny to me how Carmelo, you know, makes this list. And I guess, you know, for the most part, he should definitely be on. I mean, he averaged 24 and 7 during his time there. But again, I guess I think about those 70 Knicks teams, the years when they won those 2 championships. Obviously, statistically, the guys who played, you know, position with Carmelo don't match up to where he was. But at the same time, you know, again, I'm a guy, you know, winning means a lot to me. But I guess, you know, if we're just going by position and it's for guys who played for the franchise, statistically, you have to go with Carmelo. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and roll with this one. No disputes here. Next, Orlando Magic. Anthony Hardaway, Nick Anderson, Tracy McGrady, Dwight Howard, Shaquille O'Neal. Yeah, no arguments there. I can go with that. I can definitely go with that one. Next one, Philadelphia 76ers. Allen Iverson, Hal Greer, Julius Erving, Charles Barkley, and Wilt Chamberlain. At first, I kind of almost got a little upset with this because I felt Moses Malone should have been in there, but I said, well, anytime you mention Wilt's name, I mean, it's hard to dispute. And at the same time, again, you can't argue the fact, you know, Wilt won a title with Philly the same way Moses did as well. And, you know, Wilt was MVP with Philly, same way as Moses was MVP with Philly as well. So at the end of the day, I mean, you got to show, you know, love to Wilt and give him his proper respect. So, yeah, I can go with that. I can definitely go with that. Next, Toronto Raptors. Somewhere my wife would be laughing at this. Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Vince Carter, Kawhi Leonard, and Chris Bosh. I'm not saying that they got this wrong, but a part of me is just curious. Would Kawhi be on this list had the Raptors not won the title? I really wonder if they had not won the title, would Kawhi have made the list? Because he only played for him for 1 year, you know? So, I mean, it's almost like if he didn't win the title, I wonder if they would put Tracy McGrady on there. You know, I wonder if they would have put McGrady on. That's just my curiosity about it. But obviously, it was what it was. Kawhi got Toronto their title, and it created a lot of hell for me. But you know, gotta give props to the current world champions, as my wife would say. So I'll give them that. They got this one right too. And the last but not least, the Washington Wizards. We got John Wall, Earl Pearl, Monroe, Gus Johnson, Elvin Hayes, and Wes Unseld. Again, I don't really have too much of a problem with that. Again, my only debate would be, just because based off recently, maybe I would have put Bradley over Wall, but just because, Wall's been so injured lately. But again, they're using the fact that, Wall's been a Wizard for a decade, and he's the team's all-time assist and steal leader. So, you definitely can't overlook that. So I guess that's fair to give him the nod for making the all-time top 5. But no, man, that's pretty much the list. I mean, for the most part, they did a solid job. Again, tomorrow I'm gonna do the Western Conference, and again, I saw some interesting ones. Get my facts together on that side. But again, man, I hope y'all liked it. Check it out. Definitely want to hear some feedback from y'all. I mean, if you agree with some of my selections, who I felt should have been on the list that didn't make it, definitely let me know. Or if you got some picks that maybe I didn't think about, or maybe I just thought about, but I didn't think they were high enough. Again, if you can back it up, get at me and let me know, man. But that's going to be it from me, man. Again, as always, thank you for tuning in. This is Let's Get It. I am the main attraction. Mickey Diver, Emery over to the second. I'm out.